Hey, good morning, everybody. I'll call our Tuesday, September 10th meeting to order. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I can make a motion.
Thank you. Second.
Second it.
Thank you. All those, is there anybody opposed? It's easier when we have somebody on Zoom if anybody's opposed to the minutes, so. Oh, good. Well, then motion passes. So minutes are approved. Visitors and visitor comments,
We have none, Madam Chair.
correct? And a fun introduction, a new introduction today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You turn right to you, please, Chief. So,
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I didn't catch you.
I'm Kate.
Kate, I'm Vince Aceves. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vince Aceves. I appreciate you guys allowing me to join you this morning. I'm the new police chief for Webster Groves. I've met many of you previously. Some of you I haven't met before. I'm coming up on my first 90 days job. And so the honeymoon phase is coming to an end. I was just telling Rick, and now the hard work is beginning. We have a really solid organization. I'm really excited about a lot of the things that I'm seeing. But you know, as with any organization, there's some things that we have to get better at, and we're going to do that. And I have some really great people that I'm relying on down there. So I'm looking forward to the next 3 months. What I'm hoping at some point, part of the reason why I'm here this morning is, number one, I wanted to meet you guys and just give a little introduction about myself. And I also wanted to let you know that you can expect to see me out in the community. In my previous roles in law enforcement and in emergency management, that was always one of my strengths. And I feel like building these types of relationships and being someone that you guys can rely on if you need something and being responsive, I think that counts for a lot, and that's who I am. So please, before we leave today, I'd like to give you guys my contact information. So if there's ever anything that I can do to help you guys out, I'm happy to be that partner for you. So, but been here 90 days. It's been a great experience. Been working closely with Eric, city manager, many of the electeds, and it's been all good. There's a lot of great things going on here in Webster. A lot of outdoor events, a lot of events that are focused on our business community. I want to be a great partner. We want to be a great partner. So let me know what I need to do that. Or let me know what I need to do to make that happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
and folks, if you have questions, now's the time. If you have an issue, feel free. Chief's here for that reason. So,
Where'd you come from?
So I was born and raised in Chicago. I lived in the city of Chicago until about 7 years ago. We moved to the western suburbs. Jamie Hassmeyer actually knows people in the suburb we moved to. So that was an interesting connection. The world's a small place. But I worked in a suburban police department, and we had about 300 people in our organization. We bordered the west side of Chicago, so we were very busy. I retired from that organization as a deputy chief of police. And I worked for a little bit less than a year as a chief of police on a college campus. That wasn't necessarily for me, so I moved on to another position for Cook County Emergency Management. I was their deputy director. That was a big job. It was a lot, and I learned a lot in that position. One of the things that I learned was that I missed law enforcement. So I started applying again, and I saw this opportunity, and my wife and I came down here and we fell in love with it. And
You're new to St. Louis, not like to this job at St. Louis.
I'm new to St. Louis, and I'm discovering, and we talk about restaurants, and I'm getting pizza recommendations, getting concert recommendations. And, you know, we just, so we've been to several places in Webster Groves, and now we're starting to venture out into the city. We went to a couple places this past weekend. My wife and I like having a cocktail once in a while and just like exploring. And we have 2 daughters. They're both in the school system here. One's in high school, the other one's in the middle school. They play club volleyball. And, we're assimilating to the community. So, yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And I'm sure that Chicago pizza versus Emo's, I'm sure you'll be asked. So I have my opinions, and it's, you know, I'm not an Emo's fan.
Nor am I.
Okay.
And I'm relieved that you said it.
Yeah.
That was the first pizza that I had when
Yeah.
I was coming down here and I was interviewing, and someone's like, go to Emo's. So we went, and I'm a big guy. I could eat a whole pizza. I ate 2 pieces and I was like, what is this cheese? I can't even. And, but I found there's some really terrific places here and I'm gonna continue to explore, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Chicago pizza, don't just box us into that category of deep dish. It's much more nuanced, so,
Okay.
yeah.
We say the same about Proville cheese down here, I guess, so.
Yeah. Well, thank you and welcome.
I never made a pizza I didn't like, doesn't matter where it's from.
Well, thank you. Okay, let's move on to old business rooftop lighting.
We'll get an update from Renee, I guess. So-
Okay, all righty. The Merchant Business Association state registration. John, Fran and I and Holland will fill you in. Met yesterday in starting up that organization on the official again. And before, I guess we kind of detail things, we do have some questions on,
Go ahead.
what is the goal and absolute reason for this entity and its expectation? And I will preface that by asking, we've created another to, in a sense, or we feel as if, is this putting on events and then this organization that we're sitting at does not? And what's the goal of that?
Well, so let me just come back and clarify. The organization you're sitting at right now around this table
Yes,
is not separate from the city.
correct.
Okay, so this is the city. So regardless of Old Orchard District, Old Webster and such, the districts and the city are the same
Yes.
entity, right? I.e. the council carries the burden of responsibility. I don't think it's just events that the trade association or the merchants association would be managing, right? It's the promotion of business and business, economy, whatever words you want to say with that end, in that area, in that district, that the collective group is saying, we will bind together and promote this area, these businesses to outside shoppers and clientele and such. Events are just a piece of that promotion and such. So I think that's the most accurate way I could say it. Fran, would you disagree in anything I've said there?
No.
Versus the city organization though, that does some of that kind of stuff also, that like we do advertising for the district, we put up lights for the district.
Certainly, we
trees
do.
For the district, we
Yep.
do
We do,
banners, we do all these other things, but we can't do events in this organization.
but we don't say we can't do events. The city is choosing not to do events. The city has made it very clear that we have very few events. I mean, it's to be very clear that Old Webster events are not city events. Save Jazz Fest, which is a whole separate little ball wax, and you park that over there. But the other events are the Old Webster Trade Associations. The city does not own them. So the city does own Trick or Treat. City owns July 4th. City owns the Juneteenth celebration we do. I think what else the city owns that we have.
Who owns the trick or treating?
That's a member-driven thing that the district support, they put subsidy behind, but people decide whether or not to sign up on that. And I think it's, Old Webster probably started that and it just
They
has
did.
morphed into all 3 districts, so. But it's not, the city doesn't organize it, so.
I think we got into it and realized we're creating a whole bunch more work and a whole bunch more layers of things. We're gonna need insurance, we're gonna need to have an LLC, we're gonna need to have bylaws,
Yep.
annual meetings for this LLC. We need to have president and all these different members
Yep.
for this LLC. We can barely get anyone here in this group to come in and actually truly be active. Everyone sits up on virtual call and says, ooh, I second that, I second that, but no one's really producing work. These projects and the things that we're talking about switching over to this produce work. And Angel and I got to the point where we were like, I don't have time for that.
Mhm.
We can barely get people to come to this and to actually do anything except say yes or no.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, we're looking to think how to, man, I'm speaking for you, but I feel like that's where we were getting to yesterday is I don't see this group really being able to be active and be productive without new membership, new blood. We can't get new blood for this group. We're gonna create a whole nother group to do other things that we can't get done also. And I feel like for the sake, us understanding the sake of it is really for the sake of clearing liability from the city, because the city doesn't want to have the liability of this. Yet they want to have the events and they want us to be able to do the events. And we were just left at,
I mean, it's moving forward.
No, I
Yeah,
understand,
it's
yeah.
moving forward because we have gazebo series and things that we need it for and want it for and want to carry through. But I think in future question, where is this really headed? Because of the nature of why it's being created, or it's solidified. That's what I want to solidify because now we have two organizations.
Right.
So,
So let's back on,
Yeah.
we went with the CID model. Let's get out of the special district like you're in
Yeah.
right now, which are separate subdivisions.
right,
They have a board for that reason. They're a
Yeah.
separate entity that manages those functions
right,
in partnership with the city. And so the expectation from the city is not that you have to do these events and that we have to have this organization to do the events. It's that the city's never owned these events.
Correct.
You know, that gazebo series has
Right.
never been the city's. We appreciate you want to do them. We want to support them. But if you want to stop them, that's not ours to say, that's yours to say, and as the association that owns that event and such, so.
and that was the fear on both sides, because now here we're like, okay, let's get this going so we can do this, and then because a lot came out of that discussion on the
Mhm.
liability and
Right.
and even for us, not just for, so now we have to figure out how much extra time that this entity and even building a time to build a bigger board if we want to continue these things.
So I would also say that we, the city,
Yeah.
through the old Webster Fund, subsidize
Yeah.
trade association there, probably 20,000 a year or so, Fran, thinking,
For everything.
yeah.
Yeah,
Between general administration, so I mean, we expect there to be a close financial relationship, and I expect your insurance to essentially be picked up right out of this
Yes.
fund and paid over, subsidized through over to the association, all those things, but it does, that really draws out our conversation with all our events, is the districts have sort of operated in this, they're not city events, but we don't require the insurance. For 20 years, we've not required the
Right,
insurance certificates, and
and
Should
we have to
be.
start somewhere to
Exactly.
get that, and that's what we're doing, but I think just to be 100% transparent, we're gonna get through this and then kind of decide. Because to create all this to just, and I say that loosely because community events are important, but just to have a gazebo series or holiday or trick or treat or things like this. Just to, where we have organized it through this venue.
Mhm.
Those things are gonna just be, hey, what's going on with that? Oh, we've organized this, we won't have any. The flip side, the other meetings will now be to organize all those and report to here,
I don't even know.
in a sense.
So I guess-
In a sense, so we'll say, hey, we need 20 grand, great, we vote, we have 20 grand, it goes over here to our checking account, and then we're gonna have another discussion on what we're gonna do with that 20 grand. And so we just created a whole board to do more work for those of us on it with trying to build it from keeping the liability off the city. So now we have to decide if that's what we want to do moving forward. But we're going forward now in order to make sure, because right now we're not covered on this descent for the gazebo series. So we have to get through what we have and then we'll make the decision or kind of discuss how important it is or where it's headed. And it might be that we just try and recruit and we'll do the best we can and kind of shift the board over to people that are wanting to be more active or can. Because I personally can't do two. And so that's where the situation is coming, is kind of at.
I don't want to speak for Ms. Tyler. She certainly is going to be coordinating with you more, but I would
Yeah.
expect that if you have a good board on the Merchants Association side that's doing a
Right.
lot, that this group can mean a lot less. If you have a good annual plan and say, we're gonna put this kind of money towards the Merchants Association, you all can meet twice a year as this body, right? And really, if that board sits and whoever they may be, it could be the same 7 people, but it's, the difference of having to have 2 meetings versus 1. So-
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to be transparent about it all because it was a little bit of a surprise in our discussion that we were kind of making sure we're getting through things so we can continue on the gazebo series and then it be based on questions, realized, well, wait a minute, this is more than just getting us by. This is starting brand new, which we don't have to hopefully grow this in order to run the race. You have to have the people all trained and ready. So anyway, we'll,
I think the other thing, just to give you one more
Yeah.
sense of why it's important, you have money in a checking account.
Yes.
That is said it's for for taxable purpose and it's a nonprofit, but sooner or later the IRS is gonna say, well, where's your status and who are you?
correct.
So if you're not that status, now we're gonna start taxing you on that money you've incomed and sitting in the bank, so.
It's covering everything we are right
Exactly,
now
right.
to make sure we're taken care of. And then we just have to decide if it's
Right.
gonna be something to move forward.
Mhm.
So that's where that is. not to be a Debbie Downer, I feel like I'm a Debbie Downer about things, but just reality of where it sits, but we'll take care of getting us through now and then we'll have more for later. The brochure. So you sent out that beautiful email.
Oh, thank you. I got another opt-in this morning
Good.
from Music Vote. So I already have 3 in hand. And I just sent that out yesterday, so.
And say I saw ours, I haven't had an opportunity to sit down and fill it
Take
out
a
yet.
look at it.
Yes,
But the plan is,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think it's great.
Yep, Holland, did you get it or see it? It was really well written, so I just wanted to say that. I was like, wow, this is great, so thanks.
Yeah, it looks great. Thanks.
Yeah,
This is the first new project of the new group, right?
it is.
It's the first new project. Along with the gazebo series, which is already
Correct.
going. And then we're also talking about the trick or treating and the
Holiday festival.
holiday festival also being a part of this new group.
Correct.
So those wouldn't get discussed here going forward, right?
The operations of certain pieces, like holiday festival is a
Updates.
certain city element, but there are, but
Yeah.
you know, like if you guys want to do Candy Cane Lane or something like that, you can put that in the permit and send it in, so. So that, Fran has always done that for you. You
Yes.
probably didn't just don't know that, but Fran has sort of operated as that staff member to the Merchants Association, even though it didn't exist. And so every year we
Yeah.
get permits from her and such like that. So
That's true.
we'll get all the organized timeline with it. Gazebo series update then.
We had to cancel 2 of the 6. One was, a band member was sick, so they couldn't perform. That was the first night. And then the next night we got rained out. Not the next night. It was one in between, but we have been able to reschedule. So just tack it on the end, so it's still continuous. So now the last one will be in October 4th. Which we had to do last year. Because we had to cancel one because it was so hot. It was one of those extremely hot nights. And even though it was October, it was a little chilly, but it came prepared and bundled up and we had a packed crowd, so hopefully we'll have the same this time. And there'll be another ad in this week's issue of the Webster Craigwood Times with those new dates.
Rocking and rolling this morning. Holiday festival. Question on, well, I'm going to get bags made, as I mentioned last time. I started that process. Fran gave me the logo, so I'm gonna get a logo together and provide bags for swag bags for everybody. And then come up with a kind of an email to ask businesses to donate items for the swag, whatever they want to put in it. So if you're talking to anybody, it can be coupons, it can be just a brochure, it could be pens. If they want to throw in random gift cards, somebody's going to get one, something like that. So just to try and get everybody together for the community that way. And then nobody has to really worry about anything if they can't attend or whatnot. They'll still have an opportunity to be represented, and we'll give these out to everybody that's coming. I'll pick some date and have them delivered by the animal to whatever they want at the animal hospital and then throw the bags together. I don't anticipate it's gonna be tons and tons, but then that'll at least be something that everybody can, because Santa gives out candy canes, right?
Candy canes,
So we don't
yes.
need things like that in the bag, but that way the opportunity for the business to get some sort of putting their name out there in one way, shape and form. Other than that, I mean, everything's pretty much on track, correct? I mean, carolers, all those things were good to go. That date is, I'm gonna share, so you have the,
First Saturday in December.
yes, so.
And I did tell you that Santa was okay with pets.
Oh, no, okay, so Santa's good to thank you. I knew those, that's what I was gonna ask
We
you.
just have to provide them with a blanket so
Okay.
that, you know, he doesn't get pet hair all over his Santa suit.
Just no cats, right?
Yes, Mrs. Claus is allergic.
Okay. So then I'll add treats for Santa and I guess in the when we put it out there, I guess that's one of the things we can focus on
Yeah.
is that. Bring your dog for pictures too if you want, and then I'll have treats and stuff. There for Santa, and then that's what I was gonna put in the bags for months anyway, so.
There you go.
I'll do that. So any questions on that?
Still want the movie?
Yes, the movie.
So I just need you to start telling me what movie, by next month, we'll need to know what movie, so we get the actual movie and the license
Okay.
for everything all locked in and
Okay. Alrighty. You mentioned the Polar Express. Was
Well, I
there
thought
one?
Polar Express, I
Yeah.
mean, anything, I think that's a good kid movie, it doesn't have too many adult themes, generally family friendly would be good there.
Okay,
And chief, when we'll put in the permit, we'll have to talk, we'll have people seating, on the ground and on straw bales and such, so I'll figure out the security plan or safety plan for that, so.
it buys us time until we flip this big switch.
Art, which I think is still sitting downstairs in the
It is,
hallway.
it sits right where it sits every year, we did that one day. Yeah.
I have a question. I apologize for being late. I had some car issues. What was the rooftop lighting update?
We were waiting for you to arrive.
Oh, were you now? Okay.
Yeah, you're gonna be next
I
on
didn't,
the
I didn't
list.
listen on, had anything to update on, what's there, just done.
No, but I have some questions. So I am working on rooftop lighting. I had the electrical company out here yesterday. We walked this end of the street. So I might be approaching this a little differently. I'd like to know anyone that has lights out in the building. I'd like to start like that.
Holland,
At the Novel Neighbor, they're not out. They've just been dangling for a few years on
Okay.
the side along Dale.
Okay.
At Vanilla Sugar and at Glow, our lights are hanging and they don't work.
Which one?
Vanilla Sugar Bake Shop and Glow Candle, we're the same building.
Those weren't ones the district put in. Friend, they weren't
No.
districts, no. That
Oh, I
was,
don't know.
that was the old
Because
owner of the
Hagen
property.
Properties was gonna be one of the new places.
Oh,
That was
well,
gonna be a new
I thought the Hagen Properties was the one, the medical buildings in the back that he wanted to add to it. Cause he told us that the city had put those up for us, but they were never maintained. So they were like glued onto, we have like the slate roof, so they were glued onto our roof, so they're all kind of falling and they don't work anyway, so.
Interesting.
Okay. I don't know.
Cool.
I mean, that's something we've been talking to him since we acquired the building a year and a half ago.
The north side of the street from. I guess the old Racanelli's down through Balkan. Goes on and off, gets triggered on and off, we have to reset the GFI pretty much after every time it rains, not a tenant doing that. We gave up on doing that, we couldn't get it to work on the north side of the street, or south side of the street, Eric, you probably remember, or you guys remember from last year. We just had a separate contract, we couldn't get Stripe to come out at all, and we dealt with them for months and months, they came out and then they just kind of went silent on us. So I ended up bringing in a separate contractor in to do it, I think the city paid or the district paid out separately
Mhm.
to have this contractor do it. And the problem that he said that it got to with all the lights is that where they screw in, eventually over time, those seals just begin to give out over time. And it's just inevitable with freezing and then dry rot in the summer, just over time, those seals and a little bit of moisture gets in when you have 100, 200 lights, such a big section.
These are
Water moisture eventually gets in and triggers it and shuts that GFI off, and that he's like, I found the best lights I could find, and he put new lights on, so we just put new ones on the south side. And those are even already a year in, are kicking off from time to time, so I don't know if there's a better light out there. How. Just seems like it's a faulty light, and we're gonna keep chasing this, because we even replaced ours and they're back to the same spot again.
So you replace the whole string or you replace?
It's sure
bolts?
replaced all the way from basically Webster Walk or whatever it is now to Frisco, that whole section's a huge run. Then on the north side of the street, they have not replaced that yet. That's still the original strand. It's probably 3 or 4 years old.
So, wait, so you said north side, Rasanelli's down through and I didn't hear that.
Balkan tree box.
Oh, okay.
That one's original, but goes off pretty much every time it rains. Luckily, I have a tenant who's pretty on it. And the GFI is in a location, right, when she walks in her back door and flips on her switch of her light. It's sitting there, and if it's red, you know, because the GFI trip, they just push it, so it's real easy. The south side of the street is not so easy. It's up in somebody's closet. I would have to move it down to a better location in one of the properties, so it's a thing to go and reset it regularly, but everyone's just used to resetting them. They eventually they default to go over in Old Webster, and it's kind of a laughable thing amongst business owners, like, oh, the lights, like we're always dealing with the lights, right? It makes it look awesome, and that's why we all deal with it, and I think it's great for invigorating and making our places look great at night, but just think should be a better way.
So Scribe is showing back up now. And I will call, his name's Tim, I will call him. And if you don't mind, since you seem to have a lot of knowledge, I'd like to call you. And what we did was we walked down yesterday, and I'll do the same thing. And so it's easy to novel neighbor and vanilla sugar and glow. I just need to make sure that we're doing that. And then we can work on assessing the north side and south.
Sure.
side. That's okay. So I'll try to get it in next week.
We've not had any problems with ours. We just want to add. Cause the way our building is, we need the fourth side covered. And we know that will be on us, but while they're in the process of doing it all, yeah. Not had any trouble. Now I just discussed that and I just put it out there. So yay, we've not had any trouble. So we just wanna make it with the other side on, so. What side? Yeah, okay.
So Stride is back.
She's a better electrical whisperer than I am, so.
Whatever works.
So that's the update. Scribe is back.
Yeah, good.
So we're working on that. So,
Good, good.
like I said, I'll reach out. And I'll make sure everybody knows and can, and actually I'll reach out, get a feel of what times kind of work best for you guys. So that way we can actually talk to you and see what you're talking about.
And I can make things happen if it's like, hey, it's a Tuesday and I know whenever, like somebody can't, I can help make arrangements on that.
So
Somebody has
yesterday
more of a
came
con-
early. It was like 9:30.
Okay.
Gotten down there, turned the loose.
Yeah.
We came back,
Okay.
and that's a good thing. He is familiar. He's worked on it before, so I don't know what happened, but he has worked on it before.
Thank you. Any new business? Moving on, BDC update.
Stephanie, go ahead. BDC, Stephanie Screes is on from Novel Neighbor, of course, represents your district. You have a business coffee on next Tuesday, over at the rec center, which is next Wednesday, 8 a.m., 8:30 a.m. at the rec center. So we invite you all to be there. We are going to go over, they'll have some stations there. They're going to talk about both the SID model and then also the economic development sales tax potential for the city. It's, things that BDC have been looking at. We'll have your Blue Dot new business directory, the online Google style business directory with some laptops there. And so encourage you to go right to your business and make corrections and changes and updates on things. And you can do that from home. We'll be able to have you a QR code. We also have a couple of our new at till signage now for where you can use that QR code to scan and go to the Blue Dot. We have a couple examples and you'll be able to place your order there free of charge from the city under the Explore Webster Groves brand to, provide people sort of an online directory to complement your brochure and such. Where an Old Orchard to go to eat next or shop next or whatever they're looking for. So.
Thank you. The city update.
I just have one announcement, the Eco Ed series that's the Sustainability Commission, and Green Space Commission, put together. The next one is October 1st. And it's a watershed walk with David Wilson. He's a resident. He's a well-known water Scholar in St. Louis. And that's at 5:30 on October 1st.
Thank you.
PM.
5:30 PM, October 1st. Yeah.
And where's this gonna be?
I can't confirm it because I can't pull up the Instagram, but I'm pretty sure it starts at Larson Park. Just wanted to confirm that, but it's a Shady Creek watershed walk.
I had one addition to the city update. We did get property tax assessments and valuations and rates. We're starting that process. They're due October 1. That'll set your property taxes. Of course, you are property tax driven. And I haven't read the Times this week yet, but as last week's paper points out, it's a rare occurrence for the city to lose value in its property. And so now part of that is probably the economic bubble of, the rapid increase in values and such. But the two districts, Old Webster and Old Orchard, lost 13 and I think 12% respectively of commercial value over the time. Now, that doesn't mean anything other than it's going to, the way the Hancock Amendment works in Missouri, you're going to see an increase in your rates potentially. This all has to go through BOE yet and figure out all that process is not done. And I can't say that it will be an increase for rates, but it could be, and it, I think likely will be. But your values also theoretically have come down a little bit, right? Your assessed values that you have all should have seen already from the county, or at least your preliminaries for your commercial buildings. But I just wanted to make you aware of that. Doesn't portend any windfall for the districts, but it's an interesting combination. And then coupled on with that, it's just out of 5 years in a row, only one district, I think it was Old Webster, had any new construction. So net new construction is where, when we talk about adding value to a place, and on the tax rolls and such, the way the Hancock Amendment works, it's new construction that gives you more tax revenue, right? Otherwise, the rates always balance out with the values and such. So we really hold a steady line of revenue. But new construction is 4 out of 5 years. We had none in any of the business districts or commercial areas. And then we had 1 year, not this year, but 2 years ago, I think right after COVID, where we had one building, qualify for that. So I just want to point that out, that that's a piece of the comprehensive plan and that conversation about commercial space, because that, of course, is identified as a major sector that the city has to look at in terms of revenue generation and our own plans to be able to support services both through the district, but also just general services. So wanted you to be aware of that if you didn't read the paper. No one's called and complained about the property taxes yet to me because no one's gotten a bill, but sooner or later they will. But it was really a big shock to me that it went down that much for the two districts, 12 and 13% respectively. So good.
Just to understand a little bit better, because the valuations of the districts, you're saying the property values all went down,
Mhm.
that brought the available tax pool money down, and therefore they increased the rates to make up for the difference?
Yeah, so what happens is the city is mandated by the Hancock Amendment that essentially says when values go up of properties, we don't just keep moving the rate, we don't keep the same rate and collect all this new money. We have to, as value goes up, take the rates down so that we essentially collect the same amount of money. Okay, so now, but that means the inverse happens too, right? Is that maximum tax rate that's allowed under law, still less than everyone voted on to create the district or in the city, is raised when you have values go down. It's one of the few years that it happens for us when values go down. And so that amendment allows us then to recapture and maintain that about same amount of level of funding. Now, with property owners switching in and out, and some folks go to the BOE, especially in commercial sides, that's where it becomes interesting of what does that mean for each individual property, right? Because if we're scheduled to collect 45,000, but we pull off some of that value because one owner has done a great job at arguing his way through the Board of Equalization, you may end up essentially having other people absorb that tax, the tax revenue need and contributing to the coffers just that little bit more. So, but that's the Hancock Amendment. That's one of the rare occurrences when it goes down, values, to get the rates go up slightly. We're talking like 0.2 of a penny, but I mean, it's one of those that first year and I've been here, first year in 13 years, I think that we've had up arrows on every rate or consistent staying, the rate staying the same. Otherwise, it's been just a continual, the rates have been going down since that time. They will be finalized at the next council meeting if the BOE is done. If not, we'll have to have a special meeting before October 1. And when we're done, I'll provide all the rates to Renee and she can send them out to all. So.
Love the economics too.
Can't wait.
Alrighty, anything else for city?
Parking's good.
What'd you say?
Parking's good. Parking's good.
You know, I wasn't even gonna tease him as he's been brought up about parking yet, because I figure that's an old joke in the first 90 days anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
It's at the top of it.
Well, Sergeant Flattery, just in time. How's parking? All right, there we go.
All right, does anybody have anything else that they would like to bring up? No? All right, well, our next meeting is October the 8th. This has been fun to have this like full group here. Holland, we missed you.
I promise I'll be back next month. I think so.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm
In
just
person.
teasing. That's okay. I'm teasing you. All right, well, can I have a motion for adjournment? So moved.
They're all in the room.
A second?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Anybody opposed to adjourning? All right, meeting is adjourned. Thank you.